I got to talk about one detail in particular before we get into the rest. Rich Paul, like the LeBron James camp, the LeBron James kingdom, basically depends upon the entire what if world. Well, if this had happened and if that had happened. Okay, so we've got that guy, the agent of the what if and the almost world. All of a sudden won't tolerate. Well, you don't know that.
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
sure,
Jordan's 0 for 6.
Could be. Who knows? But if you
take, could be.
But if you replace Scottie,
when Max Kellerman pushes back ever so slightly, when dipshit Paul declares that it would be 0-6 without Scottie, Kellerman says, "Well, who knows?" Oh no, that's not tolerable. All of a sudden, the guy whose entire basis of every argument supporting LeBron James and diminishing Michael Jordan is based on hypothetical situations, now presents a hypothetical situation and it has to be taken as fact. We are literally talking about a who knows situation, something that can't be proven or unproven. It can't be, because it didn't fucking happen. I can't believe no one else has brought this part up yet. Damn, Rich Paul, you make it hard to finish a video. You're so damned stupid. You make it hard to finish pointing out every way that you are stupid. Let me tell you something. Stupid people with power and a mouthpiece are dangerous. Anyway, Rich Paul is in the middle of speaking authoritatively as if he's an expert about Scottie Pippen, and he doesn't even get his height right.
But you're talking about a guy that's 6'9", that plays both sides of the ball, that is 6'7", whatever.
You know what he says? You know what he says when he gets corrected? Whatever. That's fucking mature. You were just trying to school the panel by talking about the type of player.
Because, again, this is where you got to really dive into the type of player. You're talking about just all-star. Okay, remove that, all-star. But you're talking about a guy that's 6'9", that plays both sides of the ball, that is 6'7", whatever.
It's not just that it's an all-star, it's the type of player, a 6'9" guy. He's not 6'9". Like, you were just making a point based on the details of the player, and you got the details of the player wrong, you stupid mother. The other bit of stupidity right at the beginning of the sound bit is Rich Paul saying, well, what all-stars are going to be willing to take the back seat? And it just shows he doesn't understand history. He doesn't understand the difference between Michael Jordan's legacy and LeBron James's purchased fraudulent legacy. There was no Scottie Pippen before Michael Jordan. You would not know who Scottie Pippen is. You didn't know who he was before he joined the Bulls and started eventually emerging and one day became an all-star. He wasn't an all-star on another team, poached like a mercenary from the LeBron James clutch mafia to go buy a ring that LeBron James wasn't able to lead anyone to. Rich Paul doesn't even get that, because LeBron James's entire career has been purchasing rings by hiring mercenaries better than LeBron James, who were already all-stars and became all-stars on their own without LeBron James. Scottie Pippen not only became an all-star under Michael Jordan's tutelage, under Michael Jordan's wing, he wouldn't have ever become one, as far as we know, without him. A lot of talented potential players come and go. Only certain ones have the privilege and fortune of being molded and shaped by the most competitive person anyone's ever known. And I talk about this again later, but one more bit of trivia for dipshit Paul. LeBron James entered a team that already had an all-star. Michael Jordan didn't have that luxury.
Hearing someone like Greeny have more cojones than Max Kellerman really puts how bad Max Kellerman has become into perspective.
Michael Jordan is the reason they were in those 6 finals to begin with. If you unplug Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls have 0 titles in their history and candidly are one of the worst franchises in the history of the sport. That's how valuable Michael was. So to suggest that Scottie Pippen was the most impactful, I was there for all of those games. Scottie Pippen was a great player, a very valuable player, and very impactful, and 1,000% deserving of being in the Hall of Fame, and deserves all the credit in the world. His rings are as valid as rings can be. But the idea that he was the most impactful player on any of those Bulls teams is candidly not even worthy of response. It's so far from accurate that I don't even think that there is a reason to respond to it.
Because Max Kellerman just barely sort of kind of gave pushbacks, and then he said, sure. Here we have Greeny saying that what Rich Paul said is so ridiculous it's not even worthy of responding to. Max Kellerman's doing a podcast with him, and every single show is full of absurdities. And then who speaks after Greeny?
I don't like having these intellectually dishonest basketball conversations. It feels like it's some way to prop up LeBron by smacking down Michael Jordan. I heard this from one of Michael Jordan's teammates. This is an exact quote, Greeny. Michael Jordan is so great he went into the Hall of Fame as two players, himself and Scottie Pippen. That's how great Michael Jordan was. That's what they felt. And this is someone who's in the room with them. I will say this. Name me a time where Scottie saved the day. You can think of Shaq and Kobe where they played 1 and 1A, Magic and Kareem the same thing, Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, or one severely leaned on the other. Michael Jordan, if they were going to get it done, it was because that guy was saving the day every single time, the alpha of alphas, and we don't have to say someone else is more impactful or put up a stat that says, well, Scottie got one more rebound a game. Who cares? Either way, these are silly conversations to be having, and it's honestly beneath Rich Paul to be saying this because we know he's going to tie to LeBron James, even if LeBron doesn't directly feel that way. We should not be having this conversation.
Says it's beneath Rich Paul. Well, what exactly has Rich Paul done that makes you think that he is higher, conducts himself in a classy manner to where you would say that this in particular is beneath him? I get that you're trying to make a point and be respectful, but I don't see how Rich Paul deserves respect. He's rich. Is that what you mean?
I think Scottie's rings are just the same as Michael Jordan's. Why not?
Because he won the best player on the team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the team.
I'm starting to think that Rich Paul was not prepared for any pushback whatsoever, and the only thing he could come up with off the top of his head was, yeah, but he wasn't the most impactful. He doesn't even understand what he's saying. The best player is the most impactful player. He just wasn't prepared to say anything or have to say anything. He was prepared for someone like Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas is getting a pass. Everybody's so focused on the insane stupidity of Rich Paul that Gilbert Arenas sitting there saying, I get it.
Impactful player on the team.
I get it.
What do you mean he wasn't?
Listen,
No, I get what you're saying. Fucking idiot. Clown. Gilbert Arenas, the clown.
Rich Paul, he's an important guy, Clutch Sports agent.
I'll stop you already, Dan Patrick. Is he an important guy? Is he being condescending? I don't know. Maybe he is. Weird, kind of weird opening.
LeBron James's agent. He's got a podcast with Max Kellerman. It's called the Game Over Podcast. You also hear Gilbert Arenas on here with Max Kellerman. Good. But here's Rich Paul. Interesting take on Scottie Pippen.
I'm stopping Dan Patrick's show. A lot of content creators have already talked about this. I've been busy editing game footage, but I do want to add my 2 cents. First of all, to get soft ass, no stance Dan Patrick to say anything, you must have really screwed up. But you know me, nobody escapes. And Dan Patrick's take on this is actually pretty soft considering the insanity of what happened.
I think Scottie's rings are just the same as Michael Jordan's. Why not?
Because he won the best player on the team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the team.
I get it.
What do you mean he wasn't?
Listen, I get it.
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
Sure.
Jordan's 0 for 6.
Sure,
Could
well,
be.
who knows? But
No,
if you
I know
take-
could be.
But if
It's
you
not know who
replace Scottie,
knows.
but replace Scottie Pippen with another All-Star. No one does it without another All-Star.
No,
Replace him with another All-Star. He's going to win more than one.
You can replace him with another All-Star, but just because it's an All-Star don't mean it's Scottie Pippen.
Okay. He's saying Scotty's more impactful than Michael? Okay, play that again.
I think Scottie's rings are just the same as Michael Jordan's. Why not?
Because he won the best player on the team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the
he
team.
I get it.
I'm stopping already. Yeah, but there's no yeah, but if you're not the best player on the team, you better have a really, really convincing argument that you are the most impactful, because it's pretty hard to not be the most impactful while also being the best. And let's be clear, we all know that Rich Paul's doing all of this as a distraction because LeBron James himself keeps failing. The fact that fanboys keep falling for this and that the LeBron James cult keeps actually finding solace in talking about Scottie Pippen, the fact that Michael Jordan had a Hall of Fame teammate ever. I think you all need, I mean, since you love living in the world of what ifs, I think you need to spend some time in the world of what if Scottie Pippen didn't have Michael Jordan. You wouldn't know who he is. You wouldn't know his name.
What do you mean
I
he wasn't?
listen, I get
What do you mean he wasn't? I'm sounding like a know-it-all arrogant bitch. You stupid asshole. Took you long enough to say anything at all, Max Kellerman. You freaking bitch-ass excuse for a man. Finally stands up to complete and total nonsense insanity. And what's Rich Paul's comeback?
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
Sure.
First of all, don't say sure. Don't say sure. And you don't unplug off. You just unplug. Unplug from. You don't say unplug off. You goddamn no English speaking moron.
Jordan's 0 for 6.
Sure,
Could
well,
be.
who knows? But
No,
if you,
Max Kellerman says sure twice before saying who knows. Okay. What we know for sure is that those Michael Jordan Bulls without Michael Jordan are 0-6. Now, in the case of LeBron James's teams, there are extremely good cases to be made that those teams win without LeBron James and would actually have benefited from someone else being there instead of LeBron James, because that's how ridiculously stacked LeBron James's teams were. So you want to play the unplug game and plug in game? Scottie Pippen. Tell Rich Paul to shut up, because Scottie Pippen was finally quiet for a minute and I wasn't thinking about criticizing him. But the more I look at Scottie Pippen's games, the more I think, wow, this is the incredible help.
No, could be.
but
It's
if you
not no
replace
who
Scottie,
knows.
but replace
There's not no who knows. Shut the fuck up, Rich Paul. Rich Paul, I am an old white man and I would beat your ass. I would love to get in a ring with you. Let's make it legal. Let's make it legal, Rich Paul, you fucking arrogant dipshit.
Scottie Pippen with another All-Star. No one does it without another All-Star.
No,
Replace him with another All-Star. He's going to win more than one.
You can replace him with another All-Star, but just because it's an All-Star don't mean it's Scottie Pippen.
What the fuck? You freaking moron.
Okay, is Chris Bosh's rings the same as LeBron's? Like, what are we doing? You're going to
First of all, Dan, Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade were more impactful than LeBron James was. Why didn't you mention that? I understand what you're trying to do, and that's at least a good attempt. And the real theme here is that Rich Paul's constantly trying to diminish Michael Jordan because LeBron James can't stand on his own. LeBron James is not delivering. LeBron James is failing over and over and over again. So what are you left with except for trying to diminish people who actually did achieve what LeBron James, I guess, was supposed to achieve?
Say Scotty's more impactful? I think Scotty's underrated.
And this is why I don't like Dan Patrick. He's just going to say the same old bullshit that people have been miseducated with. I've already done multiple videos on this. And again, this is me realizing things because of revisionist history, making me more aware of actual history. Scottie Pippen was never underrated. They started talking about him being quote unquote underrated since he entered. Well, how can you be underrated if they're calling you underrated from the very beginning? That means that people are recognizing you. You're not Michael Jordan. If you're on Michael Jordan's team and you have a problem with the fact that you aren't Michael Jordan, well, tough shit. Go be a ringless bitch somewhere, because that's what Scottie Pippen would be without Michael Jordan.
I do. I think he was everything that you needed from him, he was able to do.
Really? Would that be having migraines? Would that be waiting until the season to have surgeries? Would that be threatening to leave the team? Would that be a 7-point per season contributor the first few years? Is that what you needed? You're embellishing, Dan, and you make yourself look bad because you do have a long history, but your stances are so soft, it's pathetic. Like, do you know the game? Do you know the game?
He could score. He could defend. He was okay with whatever Mike was going to do.
He was okay with whatever. Stop acting like the only role that makes any sense or that is possible is a sacrifice. This is a product of the LeBron James victimhood world where, oh, I wasn't the main star and therefore I suffered. Shit. Count your blessings. Count your blessings that you were fortunate enough to have a guy who could do the things that got you over the hump. LeBron James is the guy who can't get you over the hump. LeBron James is the guy who fucking blows it when it matters. LeBron James is the guy who misses, who breaks. He breaks a three. He breaks a layup. He turns the ball over. That's who LeBron James is. Scottie Pippen, you had your chance without Michael, and you suffered without Michael.
He'll complement that. And I thought he was a great team player.
You are saying that as if Scottie was ever going to be anything else. The fact that LeBron James diminished guys who were the number one guy on each of their teams and reduced them to role player positions, I think has infected people's minds that actual role players were also franchise players. Scottie Pippen was never going to be a franchise player. Scottie Pippen was too weak-minded, too undisciplined, and he needed someone with Michael's discipline and Michael's competitiveness and Michael's fearlessness to drag his ass along until he finally brought something to the table. And he only brought it to the table occasionally. I'm not saying Scottie Pippen didn't have great games. He did. Okay, so he had a long career. He'd better have some great games in there somewhere, since people like Rich Paul are out there pretending like Scottie Pippen might actually be the GOAT.
Until he wasn't going to have a play called for him and he got benched and Kukoc.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good example. Pretty massive example. And let's not pretend that that's the only example.
Hit a game winner. But that's crazy to say that Scottie's more impactful. He's not.
It is. It is crazy. And wow, good for you, Dan, for having a soft take standing up to something that's absolutely fucking insane to say.
Can you make the case better all-around player for the Bulls?
Are you kidding? Like, Dan, now your old ass needs to be slapped in the face. A better all-around player? Now you're going down to Rich Paul levels of excuse making. Oh, LeBron's not as good as Michael, but he's a better all-around player than Michael. Michael might be the best player on the planet, but LeBron's the best player on God's green earth, as if that means anything fucking different.
Polls back then, what he was asked to do.
What was he asked to do? Not have to carry the main burden? What was he asked to do, Dan? You act like they did to Scotty what LeBron did to Chris Bosh, what LeBron did to Kevin Love, what LeBron did to Dwayne Wade, what LeBron did to Luka, what LeBron did to Anthony Davis. Scottie Pippen was never that guy and was never going to be that guy.
Was different than what Mike was asked to do. Scotty was guarding everybody. He could
No, he wasn't. Again, you're lying.
guard 1 through 5.
Really? Scotty guarded 1 through 5? Is this Dan Patrick just starting to lose his faculties and repeat things that he's heard recently? Didn't Ron Harper's stupid ass say that Scotty guarded 1 through 5? You better have some great examples of that. I remember Dennis Rodman having to guard 1 through 5. I mean, if anyone ever guarded the 5 who wasn't a 5, it was Rodman. In the earlier rendition of the Bulls, if it wasn't the center, maybe Horace Grant. I mean, a play or two, sure. I mean, Michael guarded the 5 on a play or two. Everybody does what has to be done in certain moments. I mean, Dan Patrick, what the fuck are you talking about, you stupid senile piece of shit?
He was a good passer. He could pick you up full court.
Again, repeating the nonsense that was in The Last Dance. He picked up Magic once full court, and that was portrayed as he picked up Magic full court the entire series. It was actually Michael Jordan picking up Magic full court the whole series, with the exception of the clips that were shown in The Last Dance. Dan Patrick, do you know what the fuck you're talking about? Or you just repeat what you've heard?
He could score. He could block.
He could score. 7 points a game.
Shots. I mean, there were a lot of great things that he did, but he wasn't more impactful than Michael.
Yeah. And that's when you were lucky enough for him to even be on the floor. Scottie Pippen was nothing but a distraction in the, 97, 98 finals? Wow. So impactful.
And yes, does Michael need Scotty? Yes. How many rings does Scotty have without Michael? I mean, but let's not make this equal. There were a lot.
Speaking of, let's not make this equal. Do you know who the Bulls could have drafted instead of Scotty? It really, if we're going to play the LeBron James fanboy game of what if Michael got some of these other people who were available? And what if Scotty went to a different team? What if Scotty didn't have Michael's leadership?
A lot of guys who won rings because of Michael Jordan. Yes, Dylan.
My favorite part of that is him saying, Scottie Pippen's more impactful than Michael Jordan. And in a millisecond, Max Kellerman just goes, no, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But they're all starting to talk at the same time. He just goes, no, it wasn't.
Yeah. There was somebody who had some common sense in there with Max saying that. More impact. Okay. Rich Paul is.
You see what we're reduced to? That was the most pushback Max has ever given Rich Paul. And it wasn't nearly enough. And Rich Paul just started raising his voice and talking over him. It was like Shannon Sharp versus Skip Bayless. Shannon would just start yelling nonsense.
LeBron James agent. Okay? LeBron's had talent. Every great player has had talent to win a title.
LeBron's had some talent. Understatement of the century.
Do I take away Magic's, or do we demean them because he had Kareem and Worthy and Byron Scott? And go down the list of great players. Bird, who had best front line in basketball. Like, what are we doing here? Yes, Marvin.
It just really feels like Rich is trying to talk LeBron into the GOAT spot
Yes, he is.
by saying that. And you don't have to. I think this is hurting his case. Like, look, you have your agent on every single podcast talking.
Well, I'm curious, is it hurting his case or not? Because fanboys are cult members. They don't care. We have fanboys right now complaining that anyone is criticizing LeBron James or talking about LeBron James. Or my current favorite is being upset that, hey, LeBron got eliminated. Why don't you leave him alone? You're still talking about him. What did LeBron do immediately after elimination? Had the Dave McMiniman story released. What did LeBron do in the post-game press conference? Throw his team under the bus. What does LeBron do? Start getting rumors going about where he's going, if he's going somewhere, what he deserves, whether he'll take the minimum. What's Rich Paul doing? What's Rich Paul doing? Rich Paul's been relentlessly putting out nonsense that is basically an attack on Michael because he has nothing left. Not that it's new, him attacking Michael, but he's just like running out. He's saying some really asinine, borderline insane things that we'll get to in a different one. I want to limit how many different insane things Rich Paul says that I cover per episode. Oh, and how about LeBron going on his own podcast in addition to everything else I just listed and making excuses for himself, and again throwing his teammates under the bus and the woe is me thing. LeBron's talking constantly. You fanboys don't want anyone to respond to the fact that LeBron's camp is making noise unless we're in total agreement. You don't like people still talking about LeBron after the fact? Then tell LeBron and his camp to shut up, because we're responding.
About Michael Jordan wasn't as good as you, or he needed X, Y, and Z to win championships. Every single great player, nobody wins with scrubs.
We saw LeBron without a second great player on that Cavaliers team, and he got.
Dan Patrick, again, you need some punishment. You need to be held accountable because you are now perpetuating one of the biggest lies ever told.
Them to the finals. The fact that he went to 8 consecutive finals.
8 consecutive finals in a conference that he weakened. He didn't just stack his own team. He diminished other teams in his own conference. But let's go back to him saying that he took that bad team to the finals. He already had an all-star on his team. Michael didn't. I did an entire episode, and the list of players that the Cavaliers brought in trying to appease LeBron James is long and actually pretty impressive. And even the guys that you don't think of as stars, not some of the big names that they wooed over later toward the end of that first stint in Cleveland. The guys that were in that 2007 finals were good, and they played great. In fact, they played better than LeBron did. LeBron's numbers shrink in the playoffs. Michael's, as impossibly good as Michael's numbers were in the regular season, Michael turned it up a notch in the playoffs. Yeah, that actually blows my mind a little bit because it's kind of impossible to do better than what Michael was already doing, but he found a way.
That should be highlighted. But can we stop with this? Unless LeBron wins another title, none of this means anything.
You dipshit, Dan. What does him winning another title mean? Because it's obviously his bus rider. Again, if at this point in LeBron's career, if you're just going to count any ring that's achieved in any way possible, then Robert Horry is the GOAT over LeBron James.
Nobody's changing their opinion. And even if he wins another one, people still aren't changing their opinion. Yeah.
If he was winning them in a certain way, they might. We've seen LeBron's bag of tricks for too long.
Yes, Dylan.
But yeah, I mean, like LeBron had that run of going to the finals. He didn't win anything until he actually had any sort of a supporting cast. And even
Okay, you goofy, embarrassing looking bitch. No sort of a supporting cast. I mean, people need to be held accountable for saying bullshit. Rich Paul needs to be held accountable. Max Kellerman needs to be held accountable. Gilbert Arenas needs to be held accountable. Dan Patrick needs to be held accountable. Whoever this goofball is, you can't jog, much less play basketball, goon.
with Cleveland, he had to come. He had Kyrie when they finally won.
Well, he went to Miami because he couldn't get anybody to go to Cleveland.
Yeah,
they got so many people to go to Cleveland. In fact, now that Dan Patrick says that, it highlights the miracles of what was being done to try to help LeBron James. If you really believe that Cleveland itself was the problem, then the front office of the Cavaliers deserves even more credit than they originally got for the guys that they did bring in.
I don't even think Chris Bosh would let his plane that he was in go over Ohio.
Ha 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 ha.
When he was going to Miami. But like Dwayne Wade, we going to diminish his? I like. You can't say Scotty was more impactful. Was he an unbelievable second option star? Yes. Yes.
Was he? Was he? I mean, I think I've heard enough from this moron and his moron crew. Let's look at who else could have been on the Chicago Bulls.